The concept art of Fallout 76 tells a story. Landscapes instantly recognisable from the game world, the progression of outfits and weapons, and even a variety of different options that could have completely changed the look of signature enemies and creatures, with some quite terrifying and fascinating possibilities. But it also shows what could have been, but never made it into the final game. New weapon types, locations, and even mutations that would have completely changed the way our characters looked, giving us the ability to become super mutants and even super mole rats. Let's take a closer look. Kicking things off with a series of key art concepts by Ray Lederer. This initial imagining of the mutated Sundew Forest is instantly recognisable for anyone familiar with the Cranby Bog. The colours and design of the mutated trees are very close, although I did have to go back and check this more closely because the skeletons and remains depicted in Ray's art are missing in the final game. This second concept is also so close to the Cranby Bog we see in game, with the same colourful red flora and open space. Another classic image, the crashed Horizon Airlines jet in the Maya, seems to have been initially imagined as a crashed Chinese bomber, with the concept art depicting the same entangling vines and a Maya colour scheme. The ash heap next, with this image depicting an ash storm. One of the things that stuck out to me most about this is actually how different this looked in the final game. The attire of the foremost character and the grey aesthetic made it seem more cold and inhospitable in Ray's initial visualization. Our ash heap is equally desolate, but perhaps because of the mining and industrial infrastructure, the hues are more earthy, with certain locations seeming more like a desert. Perhaps the drastically different look was indicative of a temporary ash storm that would completely alter our surroundings. I know seasonal weather is something I've always wanted to see in the game. Finishing up with exteriors, we have Vault 76 and Charleston. Heading inside now, the Fort Atlas Observatory is seemingly unchanged from Chris Ortega's original concept art. The same can be said for this shelter concept. This lovely series of wavy willards by Katya were definitely a sign of things to come, with the unmistakable crocodile present in the first image, although of course it would be incorporated into the ride itself. The zebra carriage, cobra slides, and slide tower are also largely unchanged. These following concepts are virtually identical, with the Free States vending machines, dispensaries, mineral extractors, and Enclave drop pod. The same can't really be said for the missile silo base, however, with the look drastically different and more expansive in Chris Ortega's art. In a similar vein, the scale of the fabricator is drastically different. I'm actually not 100% sure which fabricator this is a concept for. The Mistress of Mystery questline includes a fabricator, and of course the bot stop missions reuse assets from Fallout 4. Perhaps it was a reference to the Enclave Sentry Bot Fabricator or Silo Fabricator. I'm interested to hear people's thoughts on this one. Outfits next. This series of settler outfits clearly remain relatively unchanged in game, with the majority being available in the Settler Outfit bundle. The Enclave might have had multiple outfit options judging by these images, with multiple variants of the officer uniform, recon armour and under armour. Some nice progression on show with these helmet concepts for the recon set. At this stage it seemed to bear some similarities to the power armour helmet from the Fallout Tactics cover art. The commonest power armour had some fascinating concepts before the final version was chosen, including a metal hat incorporated into the design and a helmet piece closely resembling the Liberator. I personally like the route Bethesda went with this in the end, but I would have loved to see some of these other versions perhaps release in future. Number 2 in particular I really like. The Vertiguard power armor suit looks largely unchanged, barring the helmet option. In this instance, I'm really glad with the version they actually went with. The same can't be said for the Secret Service power armor though. Personally, I've always found the Secret Service armor and power armor sets look a little bit too plain for my liking, but these potentially would have changed that. Up first, we have what seems to have been multiple initial options. A security shield and a selection of heavy weapons look amazing. The third weapon option does appear to be the Gauss minigun though. This same heavy weapon is also featured in another illustration. I absolutely love how this looks. The final version does appear too, but even in the concept it has multiple decals and the colour palette looks more balanced. The Secret Service armour may also have had a different upgrade path as well, with light, medium and heavy concepts all appearing in the artwork. To close out outfits and weapons we have intel and military officer options, man-to-man's outfit breakdown, the Mr. Winter power armor helmet, and the signature vault set. Backpack skins. Now, a fair few of these are already in the game with some notable exceptions. And finally, the Sheepsquatch mascot had so many different options, which vary in a very big way, which, as you will see in the next section, were also indicative of all the routes the cryptid itself had at the concept stage. Moving into the realm of creature concepts now then, let's kick things off with Fallout 76's newest cryptid. The concept art was extensive, and I'm sure this reflects the need to explore different routes for this new monster for the Fallout series. Some of these options are incredible. One of these had them throwing acidic red ticks at us, which kind of makes me grateful we only have to deal with the final version's weaponized quills. Nope, indeed, with this demonic looking option. More demonic sheepsquatches. I love how much Chris Ortega explored the options for this. Which variations do you like the most though? If you thought that was a wide range of concepts for the Sheepsquatch, then hold that thought for a second as we explore Captia's process for creating the Scorch Beasts. It seems the Vulture was a very real starting point, with as many as 3 different options. Featuring Mr. Handsome. I think this design actually did make it into the game in a small way though, as there's a small Easter egg on Seneca Rocks featuring this design. You can see by option 5 that the eventual look is starting to take shape. A completely different angle though with this insectoid Scorch Beast. And this, I'm not sure what this might have evolved from. But here we are. The final version wasn't complete though, as we can see with these 4 head options. Number 4 was the eventual route, but I do really like all of these actually. Perhaps seeing different types of Scorch Beasts with these heads might have been interesting. But which Scorch Beast route do you like the most, or are you happy with how the creatures ended up looking? Another later addition with these concepts for the floaters, with each type having a very different look and feel. Okay, moving on to the penultimate section now, with some incredible promotion art and in-game art and advertising. Starting with these stunning pieces by Harry Osborne. Probably some of my favourite Fallout 76 images in this section, with this Mothman Museum lithograph, power armor troopers, and a Wendigo. Chris Ortega was responsible for these immediately recognisable paintings of the White Spring Resort. I love the small detail of the Mr. Handy caddies and Protectoron. A series of posters now, with this one for Camden Park, Nuka Tapper, Invasion from the Stars, Tadpole poster, Symptomatic, and a Corvega Camden Park partnership poster. Now it's time to talk about a series of illustrations that legit blew my mind. Player Mutations, which would have allowed you to become a super mutant, and even a super mole rat. Before we dive into these though, it's worth noting that it's unclear from these concept drawings how close this system was being to implemented. It's unclear whether it was something that Chris created himself, or if it's something that Bethesda were considering including in the final game. Nevertheless, this system, because it is a fully fledged system with tiers and stages, is incredible, and I'm a little bit bitter we didn't get it. There's nothing I've wanted more in a Fallout than being able to transform our characters into ghouls or super mutants. Super mole rats was a new one though, but I don't hate it. I've always thought that a system like the vampires and werewolves from Skyrim would have worked nicely, something that could be activated but not permanent. Anyway, I digress. Let's take a closer look at these, starting with the super mutant. This would have had 4 main stages. The first is unchanged, but stage 2 would have seen skin colour changes and apparently the ability to use all equipment and gear. And some cons too, with reduced intelligence and agility. Functionally, this seems to have been envisioned the exact same way as the mutations we do have in game. Stage 2A would have seen us unable to use any gear or equipment at all. For stage 3, we would have gone full super mutant. The final stage also would have had tiers, with us getting progressively bigger and stronger. And it seems we would have got closer to super mutant behemoth size by the end. Chris notes that tier progression branches were also envisioned, with a defensive tree too, which actually had a different look. Finally, he mentions that triggers might have been environmental elements and poisonous plants or disease-carrying animals. I'll come back to these notes at the end after we've looked at the other mutation. Tired of mole rats? Then why not join them by becoming a super mole rat? This is the same as the super mutant, with the first stage bearing no changes, but stage 2 would see colour changes for skin again. But for the mole rat, it was noted that charisma would be lost as well as strength. The bonus from this mutation, it seems, would have been focused on perception and endurance. Skipping forward a little bit, let's take a look at the final forms. I love the thinking behind this so much, and honestly, I'm gutted we didn't get something like this with Mutations. But, there's no way of knowing from this alone how seriously this concept was considered. The thinking and notes on how we become infected suggest this may have been used as the basis for the mutations we actually did get. Let me know what you think of these mutations though in the comments. For today though, that's it. The concept art of Fallout 76 is incredible, and the artists really did amazing work, helping to construct the game we all know. And it's fascinating to see the ideas and concepts that aren't currently implemented. But who knows, perhaps maybe Bethesda might bless us with some of these features in future. If you enjoyed this particular video, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. We have more data mine, event guide, and PTS related videos releasing very soon, so turning on the bell icon is the best way to stay up to date. With that said though, I'm off. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.